Welcome everybody to another shocking episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. Today we're going to be traveling down to Michigan to speak about a real-life predator by the name of Matt LATUNSKI. Mr. LATUNSKI's actually been found guilty, already went through the court process. We're going to see him in there a little bit as well. But the story of what he did to his victims, including one right before Christmas morning, is going to blow y'all's mind. You know, I'm going to try to keep this as family friendly as possible, but some of the details in this case is pretty gruesome. So let's get right into it. If you enjoy this type of content, all things lockup and crime related, then this is where you want to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. The story is going to begin in Swartz Creek, Michigan, a suburb about 20 minutes southwest of Flint. Mr. Kevin Bacon, a 25-year-old hairdresser, was heading out to meet a guy he met on the app called Grindr. Bacon was upset. He was having family problems, says Michelle Myers, a longtime friend and Bacon's roommate. After finishing work that afternoon at the salon across from his home, he ends up meeting up with his sister and mother to do their hair. Probably get them ready for Christmas morning. Keep in mind this is Christmas Eve. Now while doing their hair, they end up telling him that a family member is going to be showing up for Christmas dinner. Someone that he doesn't really get along with, so he's probably not going to be showing up. But little do they know the real reason why he's not going to be showing up. Standing over 6 feet tall with a husky build, Bacon's flamboyant style stood out among the droves of suburbanites. The wording in these articles is just superb. He sometimes carried a purse and had a great eye for designer clothes. Even though he was in his 20s, he didn't care. He still rocked his faded half-moon receding hairline. Now after he cuts his mom and sister's hair, he ends up going back to his apartment. He's scrolling through his phone and talking to his roommate, Miss Myers, saying that he wants to find himself a hot date for Christmas Eve night. And he finds one, remarkably close by. Unfortunately, the guy that he's going to link up with is Mr. Matt LATUNSKI himself. The worst profile you could have picked on the whole damn app. Crazy too, because he thinks he's going over there for a good time. Has no idea it's going to be his last time. Now, according to his roommate, Bacon got ready and left in his car shortly after 5 p.m. A Nest doorbell camera captured him walking out the door. The next day, after he missed Christmas breakfast, keep in mind the family member that he didn't want to see was coming to the dinner. So for him to miss the breakfast Christmas morning is raising some major red flags. His father calls police immediately. For 3 days, friends, family, and authorities looked for Mr. Bacon. The local news stations tagged along with the search.
Too many scenarios that I don't want to think about.
A parent's worst nightmare, having a child go missing. Carl Bacon's son, Kevin Bacon, has been missing since Christmas Eve, when he was supposed to meet up with a stranger on a dating app. Friends and family now searching many Swartz Creek fields and parks for Kevin.
It was not like him not to show up. He was supposed to be at my house on Christmas morning around 9 o'clock for a brunch.
Friends came in from Flint and other nearby towns to scout railroads, brushes, and farmland. But while people searched the open fields, Kevin was underground, strung up in the basement of a stone cottage in the middle of nowhere about 20 miles out of town, with his throat slit. The alleged assailant was his date, Mark LATUNSKI, who would quickly confess to the crime. But the details of his murder were more gruesome than his loved ones could ever imagine. But before we get into the details of his death, I got 2 911 calls I want y'all to hear. Seems like Mr. LATUNSKI tried this type of situation on 2 other individuals. The first 911 call comes from James Carlson.
Sorry, Wesley 911, where's your emergency?
I'm here in Detroit. I'm from New York, and I met this guy at the bus station who offered me a ride, and I'm not even sure where I am. Well, I broke out of this fucking basement, and I need a ride.
Okay.
I'm in trouble. I can't even find my way back to his place if I wanted to. Sweetheart, I need to go.
Okay, I'm going to get you help. Are you walking down the street right now?
Yes, ma'am, I am. I know either he drugged me. I don't know. I woke up in the fucking basement. Okay? Chained in the basement with a leather thing around my ankle, and I cut it with the butcher knife that I have in my freaking hand. Excuse my French. And I met this guy. I'm by. He was cute. He hit on me. I don't know. We went out to the car. We talked. We went to the store. Had a soda. I woke up in the basement.
Okay.
He obviously drugged me.
Do you know what his name was?
No.
No?
And I don't want to pursue it. I want to go home.
Now y'all heard the tape. There's a bunch of questions that I could be asking about this. Like, how the heck did he even get his hands on a butcher knife. If you're tied up in a basement, you would think the person who tied you up would keep the knife far away from you. Or second of all, why the hell does he even have a phone? You know, me personally, if I'm kidnapping someone, tying them up, putting them into my little dungeon of horrors, I'm taking that fucking cell phone, man. You ain't never gonna see that thing again. Right? So there's questions here that I asked myself that maybe he wasn't planning on killing these guys. Now, shortly after this situation, some more details came out because Mr. Carlson tried to do a federal lawsuit on LATUNSKI. In it, Carlson claimed that he had taken a bus from New York to Michigan explicitly to have sex with Mr. LATUNSKI. But when he got there, LATUNSKI would end up chaining him down in the basement and holding him captive, the court complaints read. Nothing strange about this situation, just a little bus ride from New York all the way to Michigan in the middle of nowhere. I mean, that bus ride, if I were to guess, is like, dang, 15 hours, 10 hours. You know, bus rides take forever. So that guy, if you were to ask me, was extremely desperate. Anybody that's desperate, they do stupid things. Now, 6 weeks after Carlson's run-in with LATUNSKI on the afternoon of November 25th, a 29-year-old man ran out of the same home and called 911 as well.
Charlotte County 911.
I want to get away from some creepy guy. He had me tied up in his basement.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I'm trying to escape from some guy who had me chained up in his basement.
He had you chained in his basement? Where are you calling from?
I don't know. He's after me.
Casey, I need you to go to somewhere safe. If you can run up to somebody's house. Where are you at right now? Are you able to get away?
Help me.
Now, at the end of the call, you can hear him screaming help to someone. He ends up finding a neighbor's house. They get the address and 911 dispatch sends some troopers their way. When the troopers arrived, they seen the 29-year-old wearing nothing but a leather kilt. Just like in the call, he said he was chained up in the basement, escaped, and was running from someone. Believe it or not, LATUNSKI shows up to the scene and says, look, man, I was just chasing that fool because he's got my leathers on. And they're pretty pricey, man. Go ahead and get that from him and he can go about his business. But once again, charges aren't pressed. But it was mainly because nobody wanted them involved. Maybe these guys didn't want their personal intel getting put out into the public. Right? Maybe once the news got a hold of it or something, man, chained up in a basement type of situation. That's great tabloid material. They could have a wife, kids, all kinds of stuff. Whole family could be ruined. I can see how these guys ain't trying to press charges. They just want to go home safely. Either way, they got away. But Mr. Kevin Bacon, he doesn't. But let's reverse it a couple steps, alright? What would you do if you seen some stranger knocking on your door 4 in the morning in a leather kilt? You gonna answer the door and try to help him? I ain't answering the door for nothing. I'm gonna get on my little camera thing and tell him to get the fuck up out my cul-de-sac, unless you want to meet your maker this morning. So that's my question to y'all, man. Would you do what I did, or would you answer the door like this neighbor did?
And I jump up, my dogs are barking like you probably hear, and this kid has his face covered with a rag and a phone to his ear, and he's like, help me, he's after me, just scared to death out of his mind.
This scene played out on Park's front porch, just a few houses down from LATUNSKI's home on Terrell Street in Bennington Township.
A gentleman pulls up in my driveway in a silver SUV, and he gets out, and he's wearing the same getup this guy's wearing, which is a leather skirt and a couple of belts crossing her body, no shoes on, no shirt. This kid grabs my arm and clutches behind me. Keep him away from me, keep him away from me.
Now that we got a little bit of an idea of Mr. LATUNSKI's, predatorial activities, let's speak about the gruesome details of Mr. Kevin Bacon and how they found him. At LATUNSKI's home late at night, December 27th, he answered the door in a leather kilt. When he opened the door, he didn't appear nervous. He let the authorities in and said, go right ahead, man, and you can search anything you want. And Mr. LATUNSKI's walking right with him in a leather kilt, like, yeah, man, the basement's my pride and joy. Can't wait for y'all to see it. That ain't exactly what he said, but might as well have. When police found Bacon's body lifeless and strung up in the basement, and when I say strung up, I'm talking about upside down by his ankles, naked. Literally like the movie Predator. He used to get trophies and skin him alive upside down. After being read his rights, he said he planned to use Bacon's blood and bones to fertilize plants on his property. He hoped to use his muscles for jerky. As a matter of fact, what was being shipped to his house in the mail, as all this was going on, was a dehydration machine to make jerky. He's being legit. This dude's a real cannibal. Now, while Mr. Bacon was strung upside down, the detectives noticed something, and Mr. LATUNSKI told him exactly what he did. Cut off his family jewels, fried them on a skillet, and ate them. Hit the comments if you don't know what the jewels are. He was charged with 2 felonies, homicide and mutilation of a dead body. Now, at first, his attorney was fighting for the insanity plea because he did have, a little bit of a paperwork background, Mr. LATUNSKI, on psych issues, right? And that all changed when he decided himself to just plead guilty to everything.
Did you use a knife to stab Mr. Bacon?
Yes, I did.
Did you know that stabbing Mr. Bacon with a knife would most certainly create a very high risk of death or great bodily harm to Mr. Bacon?
Yes, I did.
The court finds that this is a crime of cold calculation. Kevin Bacon's death was Mark LATUNSKI's design. The court finds the defendant guilty of first-degree premeditated murder. He selected the knife because the sword wasn't sharp enough.
LATUNSKI pled guilty last month, waiving his right to a jury trial, a move his attorney disagrees with.
And no, I do not wish he had entered a guilty plea. I think that we would have been successful at trial, but we certainly have to accommodate his wishes and respect those.
And he was eventually sentenced to life in prison without parole. Crazy turn of events, all beginning with the Grindr app. There's a lot of people out there with fetishes, the leather skirts and straps and chains. You got to realize, man, the fetish that you might like could be way more extreme to the person that you're trying to reach out to. The leather and chain stuff that you like, well, he likes it, but he likes it with a little bit of blood as well. You got to be careful, man. You never know what type of intentions these people have online. But there's really nothing else I can say about this story. Can you imagine the guys that got away looking back at everything? Like, man, that was just a few minutes from possibly being me. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode, got something from it. If you got any friends out there in them dating sites hooking up on a regular basis, go ahead and share it with them. Spread a little bit of awareness, because anything could come anybody's way. But stay tuned, I got plenty more content coming your way. And as always, y'all be easy, be safe, and stay free.